Our second topic is the Hall of Fame.
The PT Hall of Fame.
Very
Exactly.
prestigious award.
It is. It's very. It will be immortalized forever. What game will be
Wait,
immortalized?
if it's a PT Hall of Fame, then shouldn't the other members have like a say in what
See,
they...
I also thought about that too, and I told them all about it. I told Ashton. I told Christian. And they didn't tell me anything.
Oh,
So
they didn't?
I'm
Wow.
gonna
Well,
go
we just
with
go
yeah.
PT
Well, they missed
Bitcade
out.
Hall of Fame,
You could have
right?
been in the PT Hall of Fame,
They
but you
could've.
guys missed out.
Exactly. So instead of 5, there are going to be 3 inducted in the Hall of Fame for 2017. So this is a little bit more prestigious. There were
It's
less
rare.
spots.
Mhm.
So here are the rules. I'm not going to go first because I feel like I also came up with this topic too. So
Okay,
I'm
that's
not
fine.
gonna.
That's fine.
You guys will go and then I'll go last.
Okay.
So here are the rules. I came up with 5.
Okay.
Rule number 1: it can be on any system, any game, any system. Number 2, you have to have kind of a little induction speech for your. You have a little information to back up why you feel that this
Right.
game should
Some
be
points,
immortalized.
Yeah.
Number 3, minimum out for 2 years. Has to be out for at least 2 years in order for it to be inducted. Number 4, the game can be inducted by personal opinion, so we cannot fight. Like if Quinn and I go, David's yours sucks.
Yeah,
like yours
come on,
is a
David.
terrible one. We don't want it. We never play it. But we can't do that. You chose it. This is your opinion. You
Mhm.
have inducted into it.
Okay.
And then number 5, I feel this is kind of iffy. We can agree or disagree on this. Do you have to have beaten the game?
I feel like you have. If the game's been out for at least been out for 2 years, I feel like you'd. And if you're gonna make a speech about it, I feel
Yeah,
like you
I
would
feel
have.
like
had
you
to
would
Okay.
have
All right.
beaten
So
it.
then
I
that
don't
is now
think you
officially
should
part
just,
of
like,
that.
Yeah.
spiel out something that you're like 30 minutes into,
Yeah,
and
you're
you're
like, how was the ending? I'm like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I
Never,
don't know,
I never
but
did
right
it.
now I'm enjoying the game.
Yeah.
So those are the 5 rules. I don't know who wants to go first.
David does.
Okay, David does.
All right.
David, what is your official video game PT Hall of Fame game?
The very first inductee.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
That
it
is
is
rare,
the
yeah.
class of
Wow.
2017 right here.
So, I was thinking about it when you told me about this, and I was like, well, how far back do I go? Most things,
Holy
when
cow.
they're considered a classic, has to be at least 25 years old. But
That's
then
true.
I'm like, but this is the video games. Video games and their life cycles are quick,
Mhm.
So it's like, how far back can I go and not feel like I'm picking something that's too new? I'm sitting here like, well, there's always the classics, the Zeldas, the Marios, and then I was like, well, what game had the most impact on me
Mhm.
personally? And there was just one clear choice that popped in my head.
Is
Just
it up
the
there?
thing. No.
Oh, really?
not.
Okay,
Oh,
all
it's
right,
not.
all right, okay.
This was a game that for me that really turned on the social aspect of gaming, the competitive side of gaming.
No, I really don't know.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
It took me to shops where I would go and compete against
Oh,
random
okay.
strangers.
I know where this is going, yeah.
No, just complete strangers. Made a lot of friends, a lot of trash talk. And this is going to be from the era of the 64.
Okay.
All right. Are
Okay.
you guys? Are you
Yeah,
guys?
I
getting in
think I
there?
got it. I think I got it.
Ryan's got it
Yeah.
because he knows the background of me in this game quite well.
Yeah.
I'm throwing in GoldenEye 64.
There you
I
go.
thought so.
007 GoldenEye 64. That game, for what it did on the console for multiplayer, is without a doubt. What's the word I'm looking for? It just marked a point in the console market for couch co-op split screen that just Halo took the torch after and it really brought together this community of players where you had to bring skill to these games.
Yeah.
Because I could tell where you were just by the sound effects of you walking playing that game. It was nuts. But that game, even the single player, like the way it controlled with the stick and the C buttons, It literally was dual analog before dual analog if you turned off the auto aim, you know, because you would use the stick was, you know, forward and turning. Now it was a little wonky. You know, it wasn't like today's dual analog stick where your left stick is, you know, strafe left and right and go forward and back. It was go forward and turn, and the C buttons were look up and look down and strafe left, strafe right. So it was a little wonky, but at the time that was all that there was. But it really brought this, for me, this competitive edge to gaming, which is why I've always had this. I've always have taken games seriously, and I'm sure Ryan can attest to this. For whenever we would play Overwatch with everybody, and we like the streams that I've done, they're kind of clowning around and not doing anything, and I'm just quiet.
Yeah.
And you can probably like just feel like I won't say the rage, but
There's
like
frustration. Yeah.
the frustration in like my silence, and I just am like, you know,
Yeah.
this is where that all started. And speed running the game, unlocking all of the cheats, just what it did on that system is an achievement in gaming, in my opinion, especially on the console market, because you've had games, you know, like Quake and what was the other one? There was another one that came out around that time. Was it Tribes? It might have been Tribes. You know, these first-person shooters on the PC that had online capabilities, but this was the first one that blew up the first-person shooter genre on console in this way that I had friends buying a 64 just for GoldenEye. Normally, when you're buying a 64, you're trying to get Mario or the Mario
the
Kart
Nintendo
64,
like,
you know,
title.
the Nintendo games,
Yeah.
you know, even though it was, you know, strictly a Nintendo
Yeah,
game.
but I mean,
it's like
Nintendo made.
yeah, you're looking for the Nintendo games, the Legend of Zeldas, the Marios, you know, and this was like, I need to play GoldenEye. I need to go to my friend's house with my controller, plug it in, and play. And it was just the memories.
Yeah.
It was good, and it really was a step forward for the first person shooter, in my opinion. And I'll leave it at that.
I think it's so interesting though to think about like one of the most fondly remembered like shooting games of all time that people always talk about. It's just weird to me that it's like a James Bond game, you know?
Yeah,
Because like the thing is like normally when people think of like licensed based off of movies or other characters stuff,
they're usually terrible.
They're terrible.
Mhm.
But this is one of the cases where it was like a totally revolutionary game, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, GoldenEye, it's so great." you know?
And I think the best thing about it, the big surprise was the multiplayer, because it was made to be a single player game, and the multiplayer was literally thrown on like 3 months before the game was released.
Oh really? It was.
Yeah,
wow.
it was not something that was planned. They literally
And it just happened to be good then.
and it just happened to be good. Like they didn't really play test it. They did like internal play testing, but they didn't really do like public play testing or anything like that. They just literally threw these maps together, put some items here and there, spawn points here and there, and then they just go at it. And levels like Complex and the facility level was a popular one. I really liked Complex personally. Like I could walk around Complex, you know, just looking at the ground, and I can navigate it, which is weird. Well, like if you were moving around, one way if you had a screen peeker, you would just look at the ground and run around.
So that's how you combat it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to
And
get around
so-
all that.
And so, or like my favorite, the map my friends and I, what we always thought was the most balanced was the library. Was it the library? I believe it was. No, it wasn't the library. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. I think it was the library. Yeah, it was the library with the 3 levels, no auto aim, automatics only, no odd job, and you just go at it. I could if they opened up a secret door, I knew exactly where they were. If they were downstairs, I could hear their footsteps. I knew where they were. You know, and then I could tell where they were by how far they'd moved from going downstairs because their footsteps changed to how quick they picked up an item or picked up ammo or picked up an armor pack, and I'll be like, oh, I know exactly where they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think 007 definitely, like, GoldenEye needs to probably get its Hall of Fame glory, because I mean, everyone talks about it now, and it's sad that Nintendo, well, it's not Nintendo, it's 007 that owns the rights that doesn't want to do it.
It's
Yeah.
MGM,
And they're not wanting to release it. Because the thing is like, can you imagine if Microsoft just goes, yeah, if you guys want this, like, we'll just get it for you if you really want it to.
I know that would be awesome if they could just re-release, because they've done the re-release of Perfect Dark, which, excuse me, on the rare replay is okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, but it's not the same. Like, playing it on a dual analog stick, it's just not the same. Sure, it plays more like a modern shooter, but it's
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't have that feel.
it just doesn't have that feel as that weird N64
Controls,
controller,
yeah.
But yeah, that's the one that if I had a choice, that game had a huge impact on me back when I was in like 6th grade when it came out.
Sweet. What about you, Quinn? The second ever game to be inducted into the PT Hall of Fame, and the second of class of 2017.
So this game I played back in 2013, so it's still kind of
It passes the mark. So
but
yeah,
no,
you're good.
the game came out in like 2003 or something. It wasn't
Oh.
until 2013 that I
You
played
it. Okay. All right. Wait, didn't you have something?
I do have it. I'm about to show it when
Oh,
I
okay.
say the
All right.
name.
All right. So you're
Yeah,
building
I'm
up the
trying to build
suspense
up
here.
into
Got
it,
it. All
yes.
right. All right.
And it was hard for me to choose the game that I wanted to induct, because I was like, there's a lot of games that I really, really like.
Yeah.
But I wanted to choose one that is lesser known, and I think is a pretty good game that's often overlooked. And you honestly don't ever see, if you go to used game stores, right? So just random stores, you won't ever find it in like the GBA section hardly. You'd have to actually look online typically to find it. And it's not because it goes for a lot of money either, because some games are just rare and you can't find them in places.
Numbers.
Yeah, exactly, in numbers. So they're more expensive when you try to buy them online, because if you look online, you'll be able to find like almost any game.
Yeah.
But this game is just one that you
Flew
just
under
don't
the
find.
radar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a game by Hideo Kojima.
Okay. All right.
The Game Boy Advance
Game by
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo with
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's weird, though, because so many people know his name. I mean, he puts it everywhere too.
Yeah,
but-
he
What
does
is
put it on everything.
Hideo Kojima Productions now is like splattered all over the place, or isn't that what it's called? There's studios or something like that.
It's
Like, he has his own thing now.
yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think it's named after
Oh
him.
yeah, that's right. It
It's-
just says his name, Game, like, or
Because-
something like that,
yeah, it's-
above Death Stranding now.
Yeah, because
Hideo
the studio
Kojima
used to be
game.
the Fox, but since it used to be like the Foxhound Studio or something like that.
Yeah.
But with the fallout with Konami, I think he had to lose that title.
Yeah, his new, because now I'm.
But I know what you're
remembering,
talking
He has a
about,
new like logo and everything. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's try for that. Hideo Kojima, GBA game.
And so the game is called Boktai.
Okay,
And
I've
I've talked
heard
about
of
it. I've
this
talked
game.
about
that is
it.
a candle smoke over there,
Oh,
not
yeah, yeah.
incense. Just so
I-
you know.
I blew out a candle because
But
the
yes.
cat did his
Oh,
business.
this
So-
is what you have
Yeah,
talked about.
I've talked about
yeah,
it,
you've
and
talked
so
about
this is the game. In this game, you have a soul. You're a vampire hunter who uses the power of sunlight to charge his gun and shoot them with rays
Do
of
you want me to
light.
show it a little
Yeah.
bit better? Okay,
If you could.
keep going.
And so on the bottom of the little pack, when he gets closer to the screen, he should be able to show you on the opposite side. There's a little thing that will be able to detect the solar. It's a solar sensor. So the pack is bigger than a normal GBA game, so it sticks out a little bit. And so when the rays of light hit, there's like a little meter in game, and it'll display like how intense the sunlight is.
That's totally something Kojima would do
Yeah,
too.
let's
You
make
know
up
it
some
too.
gimmick that like no one else can ever
Yeah,
do.
it's
Yeah.
really weird. But the
Yeah.
reason he did that is because
crazy.
It was more for not for the SP, but for the original Game Boy Advance specifically. And the reason why he did that was because the original Game Boy Advance didn't have a backlight.
Mhm.
So either you had to play with a little accessory to get the light on the screen, or typically you'd play in some form of light.
Oh yeah, there's a little sensor there.
Mhm.
Like a little calculator.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, well, if people are going to be playing outside anyway with these things or in some form of light, then I might as well just add some sort of thing to the game with it. And
Such a thing he would do too. It's
and I really like that game because it's a very simple premise, but I don't know which one I like more, the first one or the second one. I just brought I choose the first one, but personally, I don't know which one I like more.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because like the music in the game is like a spaghetti western style music and stuff. It's
Nice.
got like whistling and all that. And you're a cowboy vampire hunter, and you got your mentor is a sunflower. And
Of course he
Yeah,
is.
of course.
it's
yeah.
hilarious. It's so
Yeah.
great, and you get different gun attachments and stuff like that. And the way the game works is, you go around, you travel fighting enemies and blah blah blah, and when you fight enemies, you get their coffin, but you're not done after that because the main boss fight technically happens after you seal them in a coffin. So you have to take them to a solar pile driver, right? And you have to drag them throughout the whole level again.
So you essentially, after you defeat this guy, you gotta grab him by his leg and just drag him all the way through the level
well,
again.
you technically, yeah. You put him in a coffin, and then you have to drag him through the level. And if you don't watch him, or because when you are dragging him, you can't use your weapons and stuff like that. And when you're dragging him, if you let go of the coffin, you can attack enemies because you get your weapon again. But then the coffin can scuttle back to
So
its place.
It's an escort quest.
Yeah,
after that,
essentially.
basically.
And so
pretty
you have
funny.
to get
Nice.
it to the pile driver thing. But it's important that you have sunlight for the pile driver, because you can technically do the rest of the game, most of the parts of the game without sunlight. It's just your sun meter and your gun will drain. So it's more about like conservation of ammo and sneaking in that case.
Okay.
But for the pile driver section, you actually need it because you need concentrated sunlight because you're just like blasting him with rays of light and trying to destroy the enemy permanently.
Sneaking in a Kojima game.
Yeah, you have sneaking. You can tap on walls because
It doesn't say his name on there.
Yeah, I know. I
It
was
doesn't
looking
even say
at,
the company. It just says Konami.
Yeah, I was looking for his name on it.
I was looking for something because
Yeah.
I was gonna be interested in seeing like the Foxhound thing. Or
yeah,
whatever.
it's only when you boot up the game that you
Oh,
see
it does
yeah.
say okay. All right.
But you can. A big part of the game is at least I believe it's in the second game they have sort of achievements or something where it says how many times you've been spotted or something. But there's achievement if you can beat the game without being spotted by an enemy one time. And because you can knock on if you walk there's like puddles in the game and if you walk on them it'll alert enemies and stuff like that. You can knock on walls and then it has a little exclamation point too.
Yeah.
And you also deal more damage for shooting them in the back and stuff like that. And also, depending if how intense the heat or the light is, or if there is no light or not, it will either like show in dungeons or something like hidden pathways,
Well, that's cool.
or it will like if it's a frozen area, some of the ice will melt or something that's blocking your path or something like that. And then in the second game, which I really like, because the second game improves a lot of things and it adds RPG mechanics and stats and stuff like that. And you can like reforge weapons, and you have more than just a gun. You have like a sword, a hammer, and spear, and all that. One of my favorite things is, you get like food that can restore your HP or SP, and your food can expire too. But if you're like
That's
in
always a good thing.
really hot climates or something like that, if you have meat in your thing, it will turn into jerky. If you have enough sun intensity, and I love that part. It's so
That
hilarious.
is pretty
But your
cool,
milk,
though.
if you have milk in your inventory, it can turn into
Curds?
curdled. Yeah.
That's pretty good though.
And it's just so great. I love all the little things in the game. So that is my nominee or my
Yeah,
thing
your
for-
inductee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
my inductee.
Nice.
Well, my third one, or I guess mine, being the third one of the 2017 class, is this one was hard because like you guys probably dealt with the same thing of like how do you pick like one game?
Yeah,
how
that's
do you
why-
pick
that's
one
why-
game that gets immortalized like forever to be like officially a part of us? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I went back and forth, and the name that kept popping up
I
after
bet I know what it is.
I kept going in. I don't know. It was interesting because like even for me, I was like, is that the game I really want to nominate? And I went, yeah, I think so. I think that is the game I want to nominate. Are you writing it down?
I'm seeing if the. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh my gosh.
Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, it definitely is. Gears of War is the nomination. Like I feel like Gears of War That's crazy. The Gears of War to me, like I wrote a little bit, not like a story,
Yeah,
but like just a few bullet points. I felt like Gears of War brought this different thing for the 360. Like it was like, this is 360. They're gonna take you on this HD cinematic role of Marcus Phoenix, and
we're more than just Halo.
Yeah, and exactly, and I think that Microsoft really came out of the gate for the 360 and totally blew everyone out of the water of like, oh, holy crap! There's like a lot of they're actually focusing on exclusives for the 360, and
360.
like I think obviously Halo was a big deal, and with Halo 3 coming to 360 and stuff, but Gears of War started on the 360. It's over 10 years old now. It came out in 2006.
That's weird.
So it's like, but like this game has such a like special thing in my heart for some weird reason, I guess. Like the story is, it's great, but it's not like, oh wow, this is amazing. But I think it does something so special that's kind of like how both of your games are. They're not this, they're not a 10 all the way, but there's this something about the game that makes it that special. And I got to play Gears. I've played Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 with my brother all the way through. Obviously, with 3 ending, it's a little bit of a shocker between that, but that's beside the point. But with the first game, is like it's cool to like play this game with my brother, and like we get to go on this experience of playing this, these thumbs with like guns in their hands.
Yeah.
The whole like waist high shooter type of games is really cool, of where you can like duck down. Obviously Gears didn't start it, but they did a really good job tuning it to their own way. And it's crazy how you can go back to Gears of War and you can still look at it and go, wow, this game looks beautiful. Like it still looks great. And then now with the Ultimate Edition, go back and play that in 60 frames a second. The game is now timeless. Like it Gears of War is so special. I mean, I bought another 360 after, some things, and I bought another 360 specifically I wanted the Gears of War one, because I wanted to have this thing that kind of symbolizes why I bought a 360, why I went with Microsoft instead of PlayStation. Because I remember, I think I've talked about it on the show, of where I walked in on my friend's birthday, and he got a 360 for Christmas, or for his birthday. Sorry, I don't know why he said Christmas. I think he might have got it for Christmas, but he got games. Anyway, he played Halo 3. Obviously, that was the big game. And then for his birthday, he got Gears of War, and he put in Gears of War, and I was like, this game looks amazing.
How old were you?
We were in 6th grade. So
about the same time I was playing GoldenEye.
Exactly. So I was because 2006, I was in 6th grade. So
what grade were you in when you played Bokutai?
I was a freshman in high school.
Well, yeah, you said 2013, right?
Yeah, 2013. Yeah. So it's not too long.
Yeah. But like Gears of War had this, I don't know, this something about it was just really cool. And I never really played a game specifically because I saw it at somebody's house and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I didn't even play the game there. I just watched someone play it and I was like, great. And then I found out it was 2 players, and I was like, I got Jameson to play it, and I'm pretty sure he can tell you a whole story about why he loves Gears of War. But it's really cool. Like, Gears has that special thing. And I'm not, I was debating on whether or not to put Gears of War 2 or Gears of War in here, because a lot of people kind of go back and forth. Some people even say 3 is the best one. In some places they are. The whole series is really good. But I think the first one just has that, like, when Epic came out and they were like, hey, we're going to make our whole engine around this thing, and we're going to do, Unity is Epic, right? So, like, this was their crown achievement of, here's our engine, and then we're going to make our game, and we're going to put it completely into this thing. And they did a great job, and it's just an awesome game. Marcus is great, Dom's great, and even though they are these big thug-looking dudes, they have a story. They all have their own personalities. They're not stupid. Like, they have, there's times. but like, Marcus has, he's this rogue kind of guy that was locked up for this eventually you find out what for. Dom is his best friend that would literally go to the end of the world with him, and he does. And then you meet Baird and Cole, and like those two characters know each other obviously very well, and then they kind of get brought into this Delta Squad family. That all of the Xbox fans know. Like, everyone knows Marcus, everyone knows Dom, everyone knows Cole, and everyone knows Baird. Like, those are 4 characters that Microsoft has kind of put in there, and Epic kind of put in there. And I don't want to diminish what the Coalition is now dealing with, because they're making the new Gears of War games. But I think Gears is just a reason of why it needs to be immortalized. That is a game that, as an Xbox player, you need to buy it. As a gamer, you need to play it at least once. So that's my thing.
Right on.
So we're moving on.